7 reasons Jesus cursed the fig tree. Most people only know one. Picture this. A man who never lifted a hand against another living soul walks up to a tree and kills it. On the spot. No warning, no second chance, just gone. That man was Jesus. And if that sounds strange to you, you're not alone. People have been wrestling with this one story for 2,000 years. Most folks who've heard about it only know one reason why he did it. Something about faith. Something about believing hard enough and mountains moving. That's the version that gets taught in Sunday school. And it's not wrong. It's just not the whole story. There are 7 reasons hiding inside this one short moment, found in Mark chapter 11 and Matthew chapter 21. And once you see all 7 lined up next to each other, you're never going to read this story the same way again. Reason 1. The tree was a mirror for an entire nation. Back in those days, ordinary farming people didn't read newspapers or watch the evening news. They read the land. A good harvest meant things were going well. A dead orchard meant something was wrong, deep down, in the whole community. Old prophets like Hosea and Micah used the fig tree the exact same way we'd use a report card. It was a quick picture of how the whole nation was doing on the inside, not just the outside. So when Jesus walked up to that tree expecting fruit, he wasn't just hungry. He was checking the nation's pulse. And what he found wasn't a tree having a bad day. He found a country that looked healthy from a distance and had nothing real going on underneath. Reason 2. It was a warning shot aimed at the temple. Here's the part most people miss. Right after Jesus cursed that tree, he walked straight into the temple and flipped over the moneylenders' tables. The very next morning, his followers passed by the same spot and found the tree dead, all the way down to the roots. Tree dies. Temple gets turned upside down. Same trip, same couple of days, back to back. That's not a coincidence. That's old school storytelling. Long before headlines and breaking news banners. This is how a message got around a city. You didn't write an article. You did something so strange that an entire town couldn't stop talking about it. Actions speak louder than words, and Jesus had just spoken volumes without saying very much at all. Reason 3. It exposed the gap between looking right and being right. The tree was covered in leaves, full and green, exactly what you'd expect from a tree loaded with fruit. But up close, nothing. Just leaves. There's an old saying that fits this perfectly. Fine feathers don't make fine birds. Looking the part and being the part are 2 completely different things. Think of a barn that's freshly painted on the outside while the roof is caving in underneath. From the road, it looks perfect. Up close, it's falling apart. That's exactly what Jesus found in that tree, and according to his own teaching elsewhere in the Gospels, that's exactly what he kept finding in people who looked deeply religious on the outside, but had nothing real holding them up underneath. Reason 4. This moment was pointing straight at Jerusalem's future. A lot of Bible scholars connect this exact scene to something that happened about 40 years later, the fall of Jerusalem itself. Old-time farmers could read storm clouds days before the rain hit. They'd seen the signs enough times to know what was coming, long before the sky actually opened up. In the same way, Jesus seemed to be reading something coming for that city, long before anyone else could see it. The dead tree wasn't the disaster. It was the warning sign planted out front of it. Reason 5. He'd already told this story once, as a story with a deadline. This wasn't even the first time fig trees showed up in his teaching. Earlier in his ministry, found in Luke chapter 13, Jesus told a short story about a fig tree that wasn't producing fruit. In that story, the gardener begs the owner for one more year, one more chance to dig around the tree, feed it, and give it every shot at turning around. One more year. That was the deal in the story. Now picture that deadline finally arriving. and the tree still showing up empty. There's an old line worth remembering here. Even the richest soil can't save a tree that refuses to grow. Sometimes it was never about more time, more help, or better conditions. Sometimes a tree, or a person, simply chooses not to. Reason 6. It wasn't just out of season, it was genuinely, unusually empty. This one settles an argument people have had for centuries. Here's something most people never learn about fig trees. A healthy one doesn't wait around for the main harvest to show signs of life. Early on, right alongside the leaves, it puts out small, edible little fruits. Botanists who studied fig trees in that exact region, going back over 100 years, documented this clearly. Any tree planning to produce a real harvest later would still be carrying at least a few of those early fruits. This particular tree had absolutely none. Not even the early signs. There's a saying for that too. Empty wagons make the most noise. A wagon with nothing inside rattles the loudest going down the road. This tree was putting on a show with its leaves, making all the noise while carrying nothing at all. Reason 7. The one most people already know, with a twist hiding inside. This is the famous one. The next morning, when the disciples saw the tree dead all the way to the roots, Jesus didn't turn the moment into a science lesson about trees. He turned it into a lesson about faith, telling them that real, honest belief can move things nobody thought could be moved. Here's what most retellings leave out. That faith lesson isn't a separate story bolted onto the end. It's the instructions sitting right on top of everything else. The first 6 reasons explain why judgment showed up that day. This last one explains what we're supposed to do with that information. Stop settling for looking the part and start asking for the real thing, trusting that the same God who could dry a tree up in one night could grow something real and lasting in a person just as fast, just headed in the opposite direction. So no, this wasn't a tired, hungry man losing his temper over a missed snack. It was one of the most loaded single moments in the whole gospel story. A judgment, a sermon, a prophecy, and a mirror, all wrapped up inside one ordinary tree on the side of a dusty road. So the next time somebody tells you they already know why Jesus cursed the fig tree, you might want to ask them one simple question. Which one? If this opened your eyes to even one reason you'd never heard before, drop a comment and tell me which one hit you the hardest. And if you want more stories broken down like this, piece by piece, no fluff, just the real picture, make sure you're subscribed. We're just getting started.